We are live.
Hi guys.
Hello, welcome to the podcast. I'm John,
And I'm Hayley.
and this is the Speed Mooting Partners in Crime podcast, episode 84.
84.
Flying through them, aren't we?
I forgot what number it was, even though we've literally just finished recording 83. So what is it? What is it?
Yeah, episode 84. We're absolutely flying. So, as we do every single week, we're going to start by naming the episode. Are we on the final countdown? Are we going to stop naming them in 16 weeks' time?
Probably.
But anyway, this week, we're sort of on Formula One. We're going to do the same as what we did last week, basically. There's no Formula One driver with number 84. No real significant wrestlers born in 1984, I don't think. Or no one that you would have had a chance of guessing anyway.
Okay.
So this week, we're going to name it after the winner of the 84th ever Grand Prix, which was, well, given that last week the 83rd was the 1959 British Grand Prix, can you tell me what the 84th one was?
1959 Grand Prix at some other location.
Spot on. You're spot on. Now, some people are probably shouting at the screen, John, it was the 1959 German Grand Prix. And to be right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I can't imagine any of you were
No.
shouting at your screen.
What's interesting, though, is I didn't check where it took place. Because I obviously...
It was German, wasn't it?
Well, obviously somewhere in Germany.
Oh, right.
But what I mean is I didn't check at which location.
Right.
Because, well, the obvious answer would be it was one of the tables at your wedding.
Oh, I'm going to say the wrong one now. You say it. Say it wrong.
The Nürburgring.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was you tell the story. So one of my aunties got confused.
Oh yeah. So at our wedding we named. Well, actually, I say it was Hayley who came up with this idea. All of the tables we named after Formula One Grand Prix circuits. So we had top table was the podium,
Of course.
but then all of the others we named after the better circuits. So I think we had the Red Bull Ring, we had the Suzuka, we had the Nürburgring, Las Vegas, Monaco, Spa, which is my favourite circuit.
I always thought there was the Red Bull Ring.
No, I like Spa.
Oh.
Yeah, Spa's probably my favourite. Couple of others, I can't remember. Good ones anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you know, we had a couple of my friends and their wives were sat on a table with a few members of Hayley's family. And one of Hayley's aunties comes up to my friend, and he's a big Formula One fan. And he said to me, he goes, "Oh, thanks, John, for putting me on the Nürburgring." I thought, "Oh, you'd like that." And he goes, "However, one of Hayley's aunties came over and said, 'That's strange that they've named a table after Nuremberg.'" No, we didn't.
The crumble homes, ladies and gentlemen. Always worth having at a family party.
So anyway, so it could have been there. Other notable German Grand Prix circuits. What's it called now? Oh, it'll come back to me. There's another one where they used to hold the European Grand Prix. I can't remember.
No idea.
Whatever. Anyway, we're going around in circles again, aren't we? So we're going to name this after the winner of the 1959 German Grand Prix, who was... I'm not even going to give you clues because...
It's so obvious.
Yeah, it's so obvious. It was Tony Brooks.
Goes all Brooksy.
Brooksy. What can I tell you about him? He won the 1959 German Grand Prix. Now, he was an Englishman that drove for Ferrari.
Did you know that before you Googled this?
Yeah, I know of him because
Oh.
partly because I've seen a few documentaries and they interview him on the documentary. So I know who Tony Brooks is, and obviously he was a good driver. He won a few Grand Prix that season actually. But yeah, no, it's just notable that he's an Englishman in a Ferrari because we've got that this year, haven't we?
Yes. Lewis.
Hamilton, and in fact we had it last year as well.
Who was last year?
Ollie Behrman,
Oh
because he stepped in for Sainz, didn't he?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think. Do you know who the last one was before that?
The last Englishman that drove for Ferrari.
Yeah.
No.
I think unless there's somebody else, I think it was Nigel Mansell.
Anyway,
right.
It's not a Formula One podcast.
It's not a Formula One. Welcome to episode 84, the Tony Brooks special.
Welcome.
Yeah, I was boring myself there. Yeah, it's not the most fascinating subject. No, it can be. It can be.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
in like the 20s and stuff, it was exciting.
Yeah, it was exciting. Now we're really off onto crazy tangents, aren't we?
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get back to law. I know a lot of you came for the Formula One / WWE content at the start, but now we've got to get onto the
Yeah.
dry content of
Sorry,
law.
everyone. Oh, we've got to talk about law on this legal podcast. Such a
So,
drag.
where do we start on this week, Hayley?
So, we are going to have a discussion about a junior lawyer's survival guide.
Junior lawyer's survival guide.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Sounds like something Rambo would carry, doesn't
It
it?
does, yeah.
Yeah.
So, we talk a lot about law students, and a few episodes ago, actually, we did lots of hints and tips about, starting a new academic year or starting a new academic year, I guess was what it was all about. So yeah, we focus a lot on law students, but also a big part of our audience is junior lawyers, and if it's not, it's people trying to become junior lawyers. So this is hopefully going to be a really useful segment for a lot of you.
Yeah.
A junior lawyer's survival guide.
Yeah. So if you're a junior lawyer, strap in because you're about to receive a survival guide.
Do you want to go? Why have we gone all giddy?
I don't know.
We've gone all silly.
Yeah, we have.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, why not? So let's start at the top. I mean, I'm saying starting at the top. I don't really know. Of course, it's the first tip. Of course, it's to the top, isn't it? Right.
Go on.
Let's
be
start.
serious.
Let's start with a nice, easy one. And I think what I'm gonna say is enjoy this time as much as you can, because this is the time when you've got a lot of guidance. There's not as much pressure on you in the sense, there's a lot of pressure in the sense that you're going to work hard, but not in the sense of, you shouldn't be responsible for your own cases. You're working under somebody else. You're under somebody else's wing, and you've got all that guidance there. So whilst you've got that, make the most of that time and thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah.
And alongside that, you're going to be hopefully, taking out to a lot of meals. Hopefully you don't have to get your wallet out. So, what I'd say is make the most of this time. Don't wish it away and really enjoy it while you can, because when you go from the last day as a trainee, last day as a pupil, to first day as a non-trainee or a non-pupil, solicitor or TENS, you might also be known as, it's a massive switch overnight. So thoroughly enjoy this time is what I would say.
Yeah. I remember during my training contract, and particularly when I lived in Manchester, I was saying to him, it's great, I haven't had to buy any shopping this week because every week the firm's had a function on, so they've fed me every single night. It's been great. So yeah, there are some nice perks. Practical one from me, don't put off the admin tasks. It's so easy to do. I mean, you're doing a lot of exciting stuff, you're learning things for the first time. There's a lot of glamorous stuff that you can do, but there's also a lot of the boring stuff that you have to do. And it's really easy to think, I'll do that tomorrow, I'll do that next week. But you will regret not doing it, and it just gets you into, poor habits in practice. So examples being when you're a trainee, you have to do a trainee diary, and it's part of the way you evidence to the SRA that you have been trained properly and you are competent. And I was guilty of this. I remember one seat being like, oh, I've barely done it, and I had to sit there for hours and go back over like my timesheets and my emails and figure out what I'd done and what competency it fits under, and it's just a nightmare if you don't do it. And for when you are junior qualified as well, time recordings, similar vein, everyone hates it. Everyone hates doing it, but it's got to be done. So putting it off, just makes it worse. I used to get told off all the time because I did used to record as and when I was going along, but I was always bad at because I always wanted to go back and double check my narrative and things. So I was bad at, clicking the post button. So my supervisor would always be like, where's your time? And I'd be like, it's there, I just need to post it. But then I'd have to go back and check it and post it. So, if you just do it as you go, it makes life so much easier. And similarly?
Like The Rock?
Yeah. It was a hard word to say, and I didn't know if I'd said it correctly. But anyway, from the barrister side of things like your attendance notes. We talked about this on last week's episode. John likes to do his notes and get them out
the
day of. And imagine if you don't do that, and probably some barristers don't, you get to the end of the week and the solicitors will be chasing you for it, your clerks will be chasing you for it, and it's like, oh. And then if you forget something, You know, because you obviously
Well,
make notes,
yeah,
but what if you forget something? It's just best don't put off the admin tasks.
yeah,
They're there for a reason.
yeah. What I'd say as well is, my next tip: don't be afraid to ask, for advice, or ask. If you're unsure of something, don't be afraid to ask, because at the end of the day, you've just come from academia, you're straight into the professional world of work. You're not going to know things. You can't be expected to know everything from day one. So don't be afraid to ask. What I will say, the caveat to that is, when you go to somebody more senior to ask for advice, whether it's somebody who's just slightly more qualified than you, whether it's going to be a partner, whether it's going to be one of the silks and chambers, whoever it is that you're asking, um, have an idea on what you think the answer is first. So when you want advice on something and you're asking, at least make sure that you've done a little bit of research on the point first and say, look. So when you go to ask for the advice, you can say, well, I need advice on this. I think it's this. This is my thinking, but I might be wrong. Am I way off track, or am I close? Because at least that way it shows that you've put some thought in, and you shouldn't be criticised if you've got something wrong. There will be people that will criticise. It's just the way of the world. We've talked about old school people in the profession and the like, but the reality is you'll get a lot more respect from people if you've at least done some work first, rather than just going, I don't know the answer. What's the answer? At least you can say, well, look, I've looked into this. This is what I think it is. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. And sometimes there isn't an answer.
No.
And particularly, as a junior, you'll do a lot of research. And more often than not, it's because, the solicitor, the partner, like, they don't know the answer. They're telling you to go and do the research. So, and they'll probably, they'll be doing a million other things. They'll have forgotten that you're doing this piece of research sometimes. So I used to try, because I remember from my own days, if I delegated a task like that to a paralegal or a trainee, to say something like, if you don't find anything in a couple of hours, come back to me and we'll have a chat about it. Because sometimes, you could think, oh God, there must be an answer.
Yeah.
And you've spent like your whole day and there isn't an answer. And sometimes it's because there isn't one. So don't be afraid to go to them and say, look, I've been researching, I've looked on this resource, this resource, this resource, and I can't find this answer. Can you help me, or where should I go to next? And sometimes they'll go, oof, there mustn't be one, right? Maybe we need counsel, maybe we need this, this and this. So don't be afraid to, if you're stuck or if you can't find the answer, it's okay.
Yeah.
On a related note, I guess, is be prepared and accept the fact that you are going to make mistakes. You're supposed to. I guess you are supposed to. You're learning. You can't get everything right first time. I remember someone said to me once when I'd make a mistake, well, it's okay. Luckily, we're not brain surgeons, so and we have insurance.
Yeah.
But yeah, as John said at the start, especially when you're a junior, you're being supervised, and there is a safety net there almost. Your stuff you're doing, advice you're giving, it's going to be checked majority of the time. Or when you do make mistakes, the partner should be there shoulder to shoulder with you, saying, okay, this was our mistake because you're training under me, I'm responsible for you. And for the most part, that support is there. So, you're learning, you are going to get things wrong, as long as you, own up when something is wrong. And sometimes, you won't know it was wrong until beep hits the fan.
Yeah.
So mistakes happen, and sometimes they do happen on that level where they happen in front of a client as well. It's not great, and that is few and far between, because let's say you are protected and supervised, but as long as you own up, and when you think something's not right, you go and check it with somebody, it's always fixable.
Yeah.
It feels like the worst thing when it happens, but it's always fixable.
Yeah. Exactly. I was given exactly the same advice when I was a trainee. So I remember I went to some legal function and I ran into this guy, very, very, very experienced barrister. He's probably been a barrister as long as I've been alive. And I remember running into him because when I used to do civil stuff, we used to instruct him. And he said, oh, brilliant. He said, the best piece of advice I'm going to give you is you're going to be in this profession a long time, 30, 40, 50 years, whatever. He says, you are going to make mistakes. Like exactly what you said there. You will make mistakes. He said, when those mistakes happen, own up straight away. Tell someone about it, because the worst thing you can do, and what people do, and, not through any poor intentions, it's a natural human instinct, is you'll try and cover it. You'll try and do something to protect this mistake. The best thing you can do is own up to it. And, unfortunately, there are firms where there is a culture of, it's very difficult to own up. But the best thing you can do to cover yourself is own up to that mistake. Because, once you're starting to try and cover it, that's where things go wrong, and that's where people start getting struck off, having sanctions against them, things like that. You don't need it. It's a mistake. Things happen. No one gets through the career without that. But the point I was going to make, it's not necessarily a lawyer's survival guide, but it just made me think about this conversation. And when you get words of wisdom from somebody, and he said, he's talking about one of the privileges of being a lawyer, and he said his dad was a doctor, I think he said. And he said, his dad would always say to him, look, as a doctor, you get the privilege of, you get to operate on someone, do surgery, etc. But the reason you do that is because the average person can't do it. If you need heart surgery, you can't just operate on yourself. You need a doctor to do that, so you need someone to do that. Being a lawyer is slightly different. Anyone, if they wanted to, can represent themselves in court. They can stand up, they can speak in front of a judge. But the privilege of being a lawyer is someone said, well, it's something in theory I could do, but I'm going to come to you because of your skills in this to advocate for me, to present this case for me, to do this for me. And that's one of the privileges. It's something in theory anyone can do, but they come to us as specialists.
Yeah,
nothing linked to that. It's just, I always think back to that story, and when you have words of wisdom from somebody, and that comes back to me every now and again. But coming back to the task at hand, which is lawyer's survival guide, I think one of the other things that's important is to network. Take any opportunity that you can, and I used to do it quite a lot because when I was a trainee, I used to drive to and from work. And I worked for a firm that was in Widnes. Great firm to work for. Still get work from them. Still very good friends. The partner, the owner of the firm, came to our wedding, didn't he? Get on really well with them. But one of the things with working in Widnes and driving to and from work is you didn't really integrate with people from other firms.
Yeah.
So I always used to take every opportunity that I could to attend junior lawyers events or other events that I saw coming up, because it was a good chance to integrate with others and speak to people who did different types of law, and just network, because once again, you're going to be in the profession a long time. It's nice to see people from those other firms, because when I was paralegaling, it was on the Wirral, so I used to get the train in, and then we used to do things of a Friday night where you come into town and you'd see people from other chambers and other firms and things like that. So it was a good way of Whereas once I was in a firm like that, it was harder to integrate, so I always used to make that conscious effort to go out and network. So I'd say, that's crucial. It's something we talked about, I think, several weeks ago, about LinkedIn and networking that way. So take any opportunity that you can to network and mingle.
Yeah, definitely. And closely related to that, build your own internal network in your firm or in your chambers as well. We were talking about this last week when we were talking about the difference between the barrister and solicitor, but for both professions, there is an opportunity to build up a nice, strong, safe network, particularly if you're in a firm, you're working with people day in, day out. So if you get stuck or if you do make a mistake, there's somebody you can go to for advice and assistance. Likewise, as a barrister, if you need some advice, there's somebody you can go to. People come to you for advice. So the network you build up is a core part of what helps you build a successful practice.
Yeah.
Even barristers, you might be self-employed, but you can't and don't do it all alone.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, and it's very closely related to that. My next one is about getting to know your supervisors. That is a very good survival guide, particularly when you're a trainee. I don't know, when you're a pupil, do you move around with different barristers and stuff?
Depends what type of pupillage you're doing. So
Okay.
you can do, for example, you can do a crime-specific pupillage, or you might do a common law one where you'll shadow other people. I do think, though, I mean, obviously, I've got to caveat this with I never did a pupillage, but I do think in some chambers where if you're doing one specific area, they might still, allow you to go to chambers with other people just to see other things and see how it's done.
Yeah. So particularly when you're a trainee and you have, different seats with different supervisors, I always find it helpful to get to know the supervisor before I started working for them, if possible. So once, obviously, your very first supervisor, it's tricky. So you just got to be extra careful while you're figuring out how they work and what they like. But then once you're in the firm, so the previous trainee, for example, you're always going for lunch and coffees with them and stuff. It's, I'm working with John Dove next. How does he like how does he like things? Because you might find, and you'll learn it as you go as well, but it's just, you can start smoother if and get on the good side if you know how they like things. So one partner, for example, might be all about the emails, like, don't call them, don't go up to the desk, that's not how they like to. Or if you do that, they expect it to be something really urgent.
Yeah.
Another partner might be like, why are you emailing me? I don't check my emails, only look at them like twice a day. You've got to come get me, you know, stuff like that. I remember one partner liked, just the way he liked things was, you could go whenever, and he was nice in that respect, but he didn't like you to go without checking in with him. Or, you know, not until he had gone home. As it's just, you know, old school, that's how he liked it to be done. So you would go to him, John, I'm finished. Is there anything else I can do for you?
Yeah.
No, that's fine, Hayley, you can go home. Or go home now, that's fine. Or on his way out, he would always say, "Oh, you okay? What you still working on?" He said, "I'm just going to finish this, John, before I go." That's great, thanks. And, you know, he just liked you to have that little check-in. And if you just got up and left, you could see his eyes, like, you know, he didn't like that. He didn't like that. So when I was rotating away, I would say to like the next person, make sure you do that because John really likes that to be done.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, you know, just get to know them, and you don't want to rub anyone up the wrong way.
No.
And people, you know, you're moving around, you need to be adaptable. These people have, you know, been in that one department for a long time, so they expect, oh, not always, but some of them will expect the trainees to do what the way they like to do things rather than coming in and going, well, I'm new, I'm going to do everything a totally different way. Some people really won't like that. I don't know if there's the opportunity to do the same thing as a pupil or whether that would even exist, but I guess if you've been a pupil for a little while, you could, and you're close with the clerks, you could say, oh, I'm shadowing John tomorrow. What does he like? Can I get a coffee in the morning or this? You could probably still get a bit of intel.
That's exactly what you do, check in with the clerks.
Yeah.
They know everything. They know exactly how the chambers run, so check in anything with the clerks beforehand if you're going to be shadowing someone new, or even your supervisor. And then if you are going to be shadowing someone new, see if you can get hold of their phone number, make contact with them the night before. I get that with the pupils in my chambers. They'll always text me and say, oh, I'm shadowing you tomorrow. Is this okay? What time should we meet? What do we do?
Yeah.
And I always like to, you know, suppose this is talking about it from the other point of view, but whenever I've got a pupil or a mini pupil with me, I always like to, you know, have a good sit down with them either afterwards or before and just explain what's gone on, what the case is about, what, you know, what the hearing is about, what's gone on, and, you know, so they actually understand and it's a valuable experience, not just sitting there shadowing and hoping to take as much in. I explain what's gone on and ask them if they've got any questions.
Yeah.
And suppose if you are that person, you know, feel free to ask any questions if you've not understood something that's happened in court. Oh, why did that happen? Why did the usher do this? Why, you know, whatever it might be, ask any questions, ask away.
Yeah.
This video is brought to you by Speed Mooting. We are an organisation that help aspiring and junior lawyers. We run online and in-person advocacy and mooting competitions. We do online advocacy and public speaking training, and we run lots of other events to assist people on their legal journey. To learn more, visit our website, speedmooting.com. But I suppose my next point is be keen. You know, at the end of your training contract or your pupillage, you need either a job as a solicitor or you need that tenancy. So you need to shine. You know, if you're someone who's just bombing along doing the bare minimum, it's not going to look very impressive for your firm or your chamber. So see what you can do to be keen. So if you know, I know that you used to do all the additional committees and charity events and all that, you know, to really make you stand out.
Yeah.
So that's a good way of getting involved. Likewise, your chambers might have committees. You know, they might have, I don't know, sports teams or something. Do something so you can get involved. If there's any way that you can get involved in the promotion of the chambers or the firm.
Yeah.
And particularly if it's a smaller organisation, that always looks really good. And any way that you can say, you know, it might be, you know, coming back to chambers, well, can I shadow someone else? I know they've got something big on. If it's a law firm, can I assist on, or is there any chance I can get involved in this big case? I'd love to see parts of it. Anything you can do that shows that you're keen and you're willing to give back and really put the work in, put the effort in, that's always going to look good, and it's certainly going to help you when it comes to you trying to get that full-time position at the end.
Yeah, make yourself indispensable.
Yeah.
Integrate yourself. This is the way I looked at it. I integrated myself every way I could into that firm. So every committee I was involved in, any extracurricular activity, I was there. I got to know, so it wasn't just people in my own department. I got to know people right throughout the firm. So, you know, I needed to make sure if there was ever a time where, you know, the partners were all together talking about their trainees, you know, I would be there at the end of someone's thought, and it would be positive.
Yeah.
So, oh, love Hayley. She did this charity event with me last week, and it was so good. Oh, Hayley's so nice, isn't she? She ran the Fizzy Fridays last week. Like, it doesn't matter if I never worked with you, you'll know me, and it'll be positive what you know. So, it's almost like, you know, so whoever's making that decision on who gets the training contract, they only ever hear good things, and it's a constant stream of good things, and they hear your name all the time as well, because you are completely integrated and like indispensable.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it's beyond extra stuff as well. It's, as you say, John, be keen for the actual work as well. So make sure, you know, every task you do it as best you can.
Yeah.
And you've asked questions throughout. You've looked for extra opportunities as well. So, you know, if a piece of work is finished, you say, is there anything else I can do for you? Oh, no, I'm in meetings now. Or, you know, you might be finished and your partner's not available. So you go to someone else and say, oh, I'm working with John, but I think he's in meetings all day today. Is there anything else anyone that I can help with? Yeah. And I guarantee someone there will be like, yes. And then they'll tell them, oh, John, you know, when you were gone, Hayley's finished all her work and she did this for me. She did a brilliant job. Yeah. Like, just because the partners are all friends, so they all want to be nice. No one wants to be like, oh, your trainee, I don't like them. Don't like your trainee. I asked them to do something for me and they were like, can't, I'm too busy with John. Like, it's not good. It's not good. You've got to be, and it's hard sometimes because sometimes you are really too busy, but you can say no, but it's got to be like a controlled way to say no. Like, I'm up against this really big deadline. I really want to do it for you. It sounds great. Is it okay if I get it to you like in the morning rather than this afternoon? Or it's fine if you need it though, don't worry, I'll stay late. Like, you've got to show that willingness. And it's hard sometimes because, like, when we were dating, I was trainee, wasn't I?
Yeah.
So there's so many times when something like that would happen and I'd have to ring John and go, I can't make it tonight, so I've got to do something for another partner, or do this. But I got the training contract. You've got to make sacrifices, haven't you?
You really have. It's hard at the beginning, but you've got to put those long yards in, and the reality is there just isn't a way around it.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, ultimately it's for your own benefit because you're building up your career, you're building up your practice. You know, it's like me initially, you know, at the bar, you know, doing a lot more than I was initially, you know, to build up that practice, build up those contacts. And, you know, I even think back to the time that I was, you know, trying to get to the bar, and, you know, I was working my job as a paralegal, doing my LPC, then doing a lot, you know, to build speed mooting, because speed mooting helped me build a lot of skills. And then outside of that, I was doing my public speaking training and things like that. So, you know, there were times when, you know, you go to bed at like 1, 2 in the morning because you've done that much. And ultimately, it's got me to where I am now. You know, I've got strong advocacy skills. I've finally made it to the bar, got a, you know, good business there. So it's a case of, you know, it doesn't sound ideal, but you just got to put those long yards in initially, and there just isn't really a way around it.
And it's a weird thing to say, but I think you do expect that, don't you? So when it happens, although some days it is really hard, but more often than not, you do have a bit of like a drive and an appetite for it. It's like, ooh, this is what I was expecting. You're not going to be a trainee at a commercial firm and expecting to be home every day by 6 o'clock. So I remember we had this huge project on when I was in real estate, and we had to do like 200 reports in the space of like a week or something. Like, it was really, really hard. And a couple of us, we were in the office till like 11 o'clock, like most nights, getting it done. But it was like, as tiring as it was like, oh, this is what you hear about. It is exciting as well.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't become the norm. Like, if that was every week, you know, it would get very tiring very fast. But every now and then you expect something like that, and it is quite exciting when you're doing it. And you know, it's almost like bragging rights, isn't it, to your friends? Well, yeah, I got this huge deal on, so I've been in the office till like 10 o'clock. Like, I don't know if good is the right word, but you expect that as a junior. You know, it comes with the territory, as John says, but you've been working your whole life to get to that point, so it doesn't necessarily feel like a bad thing when you do have those
I suppose
periods.
You know, when you're at university, there'll be times when, you know, you've got all your applications to do, you're doing your scholarship application, you've got exams, so you'll be, you know, working around the clock. And there's times like that, you know, when you're a junior. It's funny you should mention that. I remember when I was a paralegal working on this massive group litigation action, And, you know, we had a massive deadline to meet. We'd had extension after extension after extension because, you know, we were responsible for about 5,000 claimants or something on this case. And so when we had about 6 weeks to go, we said it's just literally going to be the whole team round the clock. So we were literally in the office till fairly late,
Yeah.
and then we were working weekends as well. Obviously, you know, I suppose the difference is we were getting paid, you know, overtime for that, but
no overtime as a
no
trainee.
overtime as a trainee. But even still, it was that same feeling of, you know, we're all working together towards this one goal because we got to meet that deadline.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a good sense of accomplishment when we finally got there and got everything done that we needed.
Yeah.
On time.
Yeah, I remember when we finally finished it and the partner was like over the moon, and I think he may have taken everyone out for dinner or something. I remember he definitely said, and this was like, was this pre-COVID or it was like no, yeah, it might have been just before COVID. It was yeah, it definitely was because I wasn't qualified. So it was before the times of like flexible working and stuff. It was, you know, your bum was in the seat at 8:30 in the morning type of times, and he was like, "Oh, you've all worked so hard. I don't want you in the office any earlier than like before 11 o'clock tomorrow, or I'll be very unhappy," because we were there like really late as well, and we were like, "Whoa." My God, we've done so well. We're having a lie-in. The partner told us to have a lie-in. Like, it was just unheard of. So the reward was, I mean, that's probably a bad example of high reward, but at the time it felt great.
What a reward.
What a reward. So yeah, I think you've got to accept that you're going to work really hard. One of the hardest workers are the juniors, but it gets you ahead and it's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. And you know, you reap the rewards in later life when, you know, it's only literally a couple of years down the line, but, you know, your hours become a lot more structured, earn a lot more money.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all because of the hard work that you've put in at the outset when you've front loaded.
Yes.
So you get there, it's horrible. It seems like there's no end, but it's all worth it in the end.
Yeah.
Oof. Right. That was a long segment. Hopefully you've enjoyed your survival guide.
Yeah, we need to put that together in a booklet or something.
We do, don't we? Yeah.
Have we got space?
Yeah. Do we have any questions this week, Hayley?
Yep. Do you want to tell people how they can get the questions to us?
Yep. So while Hayley finds those questions, 3 ways. Number 1, drop us an email, info@speedmooting.com. Number 2, DM us, either one of our pages or Hayley or I directly. We're on pretty much every social media outlet you can imagine, so you can find us on there. Or lastly, drop us a comment on one of our episodes and include the hashtag AskSpeedSquad.
Without further ado, let's jump in. This one for you.
Oh.
Because I've only had one case and it was fine. How do you deal with a judge who keeps interrupting you?
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, it happens from time to time. Generally, it happens with legal argument. But, you know, when you've got a judge that continues to interrupt you, all you can really do is answer the judge's questions.
Mm-hmm. Does it put you off, or would they ever interrupt you when you like mid submissions, or do they not do that?
Yeah, no, of course it happens. So you're making a submission. Well, Mr. Dove, yes, that's fine. But what I'm concerned with is this. And it happens. And this is where, you know, and I think it might have been last week I was saying this, you know, if you're going into court with a case, prepare it, know the case very well, know all of your arguments, and know, you know, because, you know, let's say it's a piece of submissions advocacy and it's, you know, legal argument, you've got 3 main points and you might have even drafted a skelly. You know, if you go in and you've got a script and you decide that script and the judge asks you a question, yeah, fine, I'm with you on point 1. But what I'm really concerned with is this. You've got to be able to jump around and deal with that. And there are some judges that are very interventionist and you've got to be able to jump about. So all you can really do is, you know, be respectful. You know, don't, well, judge, I'm going to get to that. Or, well, really, I think it's this, you know, answer the judge's question, but be respectful. And it might be that, you know, he's asking you something that catches you off guard, or it might be something you've not thought about. So all you can really do in that situation is, you know, take a pause, use one of the fillers. Well, Your Honour asks an interesting question, and the way in which I would deal with it is as follows. But really just, you know, if you know the case quite well, you'll be able to answer those questions and be able to jump around and just ensure that, you know, hopefully you've got some backbone to what you're going to be saying, you know, whether it's the odd note or whatever, and just ensure that when it comes to it and you finish your submissions, you've said everything it is that you want to say. Be be respectful for the judges. To the judge is the most important thing, though. I saw it. I was at a trial with somebody, and the judge was being quite interventionist, and the advocate started asking rhetorical questions of the judge, or was throwing questions back, and the judge said, "I have the privilege of asking questions, not you." And straight away, you've lost the judge.
You don't
want to
get your judge on the back foot like
it's
that.
the last thing you want to do. So it might be annoying. It might be well, I want to make these points. I'm going to get to it, but just be respectful and use it as an opportunity to get your points out anyway. And if the judge is asking questions, it obviously means that they're against you, or that they've got particular concerns, and you've got to be persuasive. And your job as an advocate is to be persuasive. So don't take it personally. Just deal with those questions and answer them as they come.
I was going to say you could maybe flip it on a positive angle as well and say, if the judge is asking a lot of questions, they might be like really engaged with you, and they might, be on your side, but they're trying to get to a certain point, or they want you to help them get there. So it could be, and that's probably what the questioner was envisioning, a situation like, well, no, what about like interruptions is probably a bit different, but most judges aren't bad, are they? Like,
no.
If they are asking questions, because they generally want to know the answers, and they might be with you and be following you, and they're just really engaged, so they're just wanting you to expand, and they're not always asking, well, probably not often asking questions to interrupt or to catch you out. They're asking a question because they're generally having a conversation with you, and they want you to help them get somewhere.
And I've picked up briefs whereby there's been other barristers on a case previously. I've looked into it, and the judges have obviously been interventionists, and it appears there's been a bit of a to and a fro, and a bit of a spat, as it were, and that's not the way it should be. You don't ever want to get to the point whereby you're criticising the judge, or because the judge, as you say, is not there. It's not as if they're not applying the law correctly. It's because they've got genuine concerns if they're asking questions. So all you can do is deal with that, and it's part of advocacy. Judicial intervention is a part of advocacy. And I always come back to the case. Really interesting case. I did really nuanced legal point, and we had arguments over what directions and what the route to verdict for the jury should be, and we literally had a full day of legal arguments, and I drafted an extensive skeleton argument on this, and despite all of that, the judge, much of my submissions was dealt with by way of judicial intervention from the judge. And it was actually quite helpful, because it meant I knew, well, the judge agrees with me on this, so I don't need to waste my breath on the points that the judge agrees with me on. Where we're at not at loggerheads, but where there's a difference, where there's an issue, or where there's it's not clear which way the judge is going to go, are on these points where the judge is asking me questions, and that meant I was really able to focus my advocacy on these points. And it was a way in which the issue was the way in which the case law was being interpreted, and which parts of the cases were the more persuasive, because it was what we were arguing over was not necessarily covered by the case law. It's how we were able to interpret the points from previous cases. And whilst the judge was saying, well, I'm not with you on this, I'd say, well, respectfully, I would submit that the weightier point, the point that carries more weight, comes from this particular judgment, and I bring the judge to the relevant part of my skeleton argument where I'm dealing with those points. And the judge, in his judgment, commented upon my advocacy and the way in which I dealt with those points. So once again, don't take it as a personal criticism if the judge is asking lots of questions. Some judges just like to be that way.
Yeah.
I've even been at trial where, every single witness, regardless of whether it's a prosecution or defence witness, the judge has questions of the witness. And I think it's just because they like to be that way. I think some judges probably miss the bar.
Yeah.
And they just like to ask questions. So it's just the way that some judges like to operate.
There you go. One more question. Do we have time?
Oh, we've got loads of time. Stacks of time.
Stacks of time. This is a good one, actually.
Go on.
Networking can be so cringe.
Yes.
Do you have any embarrassing stories? Oh, I've got a doozy. Well, it's really embarrassing in my brain. Probably doesn't sound that embarrassing out loud. Have you got one?
Yeah. I've got a good one. So, is it embarrassing? Yeah, it probably was at the time. Actually, it was embarrassing, but it had a good ending. So this was a networking event when I was in first year at uni. So I've been at uni a couple of months at this point. And so the idea of this networking event is we go there, we're all stood around, we're listening to a couple of talks, and then at the end of it, there's a few barristers dotted about that you can have a chat with and the like. And I'm listening to this one barrister talk, and next thing, everything just sort of goes grey and then comes back, grey and comes back. And next thing I feel like, oh, but walking backwards. I fainted. So in the middle of this talk, this guy's in the middle of a great point, and I faint. And when I come back to, I've got people there. Oh, do you need some water, John? Do you want a sandwich? Whatever it is. So obviously I'm massively embarrassed by this, and you just got everyone turning around looking at you. Who's this person fainting? And the chap who gave the talk, he was dead funny. He came over. He said, "I've had one or two people nod off during my talks, but never had anyone faint before, so I can add that one to my belt now." But it meant that I got a bit of attention, and a few people came and spoke to me, and it worked brilliantly because I got too many people just off the back of it.
So note to self: if you're good at pretending to faint,
if you're good at passing out. But fully enough, it's not the only time I've fainted during a networking. There was another time I was chatting to. So once again, I think this was on a residential weekend. At the Inns of Court, and there's me and a couple of the people who were chatting to this Silk, and we're in the flow of conversation, and I see the grey again, and I know where this is going. I've been there before, and when I see the grey, I know what's happening, and I'm holding on. I'm waiting for a natural break in the conversation when I can sort of go and grab some water. Not to faint and being as polite as I possibly can be, typical John Dove, and then it just gets to the point where I cut into the conversation and go, "Terribly sorry, I feel a bit faint. I'm gonna have to go and get some."
The only 2 times you ever fainted?
Well, there's a third time. And I think it was my call to the bar.
Jesus Christ, you need to just avoid
any legal networking. So it was the evening of my call to the bar, and once again in conversation with somebody. So I'm there with my mum, dad, my brother, and thankfully this time the way they had the room laid out, around the edge of the room were chairs, and as I passed out, I fell directly into a chair. So passed out fainted that one. But they're the only 3 times I've ever fainted.
And always in full view.
And always in full view of people at legal functions. The second 2 times I didn't get any mini pupillage off the back of it.
Shame.
But yeah, pretty embarrassing at networking dues. And now everyone knows those stories.
So one of mine was, I think it was a Christmas do or a work social or something. And, many of you will know if you've been to these events, the bubbly usually is very free-flowing. So it's very common for lots of people to be merry. Very merry. And I was chatting to this one person who was very important in the firm. So I was like, right, I'm going to bend their ear off while they're a bit drunk, a bit tipsy. I'm going to sit and talk to them, make sure they get to know me. Did it very, very successfully. I thought like they knew me very well. Oh, this is going to be great when I see them in the office. So I go up to them. We'll pretend that we'll stick with you. They're called John.
Yeah.
So a couple of weeks later, making tea at the coffee station, and I'm like, "Oh, John, hi. Sorry, I don't think we've met." Did not remember meeting me at all. So it was like, what do I do? Obviously, this person's really important. Do I say, no, we had a long conversation at the Christmas do, you're probably just pissed? Or do I, embarrass myself to save face for them? So me being such a nice person, I was like, "Oh yeah, sorry, of course. I'm Hayley. I'm gonna be a trainee in next cycle or whatever." And he was like, "Oh, okay."
I'm that awkward person, aren't I? That I'd
you
probably
will be
take
like,
the other route.
Yeah. No, we'd met. You must have just been too drunk. But yeah, no. So that was very, very embarrassing. And it was like a load of people like were around as well, like thinking, he doesn't even know who she is. Like, he's never met her. And I was like, oh, did we? But I remember, like, once I'd worked with them for a little while, I think I did eventually tell them, by the way.
Yeah.
We did meet. We met at the Christmas party. And they were like, oh, no, yeah, okay, now I remember why we don't remember.
Yeah.
So yeah, networking, it can be embarrassing, it can be cringe, but it's one of those things, you can't get away from it. Moral of the story though, and this probably comes back to the junior survival guide: control yourself at work functions.
I was just about to say the same thing. Literally going to say the same thing.
Control yourself. Yeah, it's very easy, but you don't want to be that person that everyone's talking about in the office the next day.
No, you don't want that dreaded train journey in on the Monday morning.
No, you don't want to wake up with regret and go, oh, who did I talk to? What did I do? This is embarrassing.
Yeah. So yeah, the wine, the beer, it's free flowing, but just
take your time.
Take your time. Drink responsibly, as they say.
Yeah, the partners have been there 20 years. They can get pissed and not care.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any more embarrassing networking stories. Knowing me, I've probably got loads, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't. Well, there will be more for me as well, but that one immediately came to mind just from. And as I say, it's one of them things. To other people, probably doesn't sound that embarrassing either of those, really. But when you live it, you're like, oh, it still makes me cringe. Fate, and you can't control that. That's not embarrassing, but to you, it is like really embarrassing.
Yeah, I should say that I'd not even drank at any of these events as well, so it wasn't like passing out from alcohol or anything like that. This is genuine fainting.
Yeah.
Well, that's a perfect point at which to end then. So it just leaves me to say thank you very much for listening/watching. Hayley, have you enjoyed recording the episode?
I've enjoyed recording it, John.
I've enjoyed recording it. Hope you've enjoyed listening. And if you're still listening at this point, drop us a comment. Pass out.
Pass out. I was gonna say cringe, but then I was like, oh no, people will think we're getting trolled again, like the legal cheek article.
The legal cheek article, yeah. I wonder if we've had any more comments on that article.
Hopefully, it's well, not hopefully. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, I'm proud of it.
I was gonna say maybe it's not as prevalent now because it's gonna be. But in the time this comes out, it's gonna be weeks.
Yeah, it's gonna be about 3 weeks old or something, isn't it? But yeah, but it's a life achievement, isn't it? Getting trolled on legal cheek.
Of course it is. Anyway, recap the comment.
Oh, pass out.
Pass out, yeah.
Yeah.
And on that note, guys, we need to go home.
Cheerio.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.